This presentation is for course 5614, Computer Science in Virginia Tech. We looked at the geointelligence spatial data related to crime in DC. This is the DC GIS, DC Gov. And we are looking at this one and we were wondering, okay, we have this data, we have crime data. However, there are some landmark locations. How can we put them all together and get something out of it? So that's what we've done. We used this data in a GeoJSON format. So we have a server from which we are pulling data in GeoJSON. This is pretty much how the data looks like. You have, for instance, here it's a feature collection, and depending on the data type, the attributes may vary. So, but however, every single one of them will have a latitude and a longitude. This one it's backwards. It's probably an interim data. But the way we pull it up in our Java script, where we are using the leaflet or Bootstrap libraries, we have the latitude and longitude like this. This is a piece of the code that we have to support our user interface, and this is the way our application looks like. I'm going to show you, starting from the very beginning, going to show you in parallel the way the data looks like on the phone and on the computer. So for instance, on the phone you have right here the geospatial crime data. On the right top side, if we press on there, we will have a further down menu, crime data, heat map, cluster, time range, and clear layers. And on the bottom, you will have the option of zoom in and zoom out. That would work more for the map. The phone supports just normal natural action, zoom in and zoom out just using the fingers. And it's pretty deep. It will allow a lot of zooming. The current data we are pulling is only for Washington, D.C., as you can see the perimeter right here. But just changing the data feed, we can apply it to absolutely everything. On the bottom right corner, we have a further menu that I'm going to show you in just a little bit. So let's start with the top menu. If we pull the crime data, in the crime data you pretty much have absolutely the whole menu. While this one loads, I'm going to demonstrate it in here too. So if I press the crime data, I'm going to get crime data with pop-up menus. At this point in time, we don't have anything on them because from the last presentation the professor asked us to change something. Prior to this, we used to have, for instance, in here, prior to this, you could have clicked on anything and you were getting the latitude and longitude, and every single point would tell you what type of crime it was referring to. And you have I think this is a police file number. And before that, we were having it broken down in the crime type. Well, we moved on from that one, and as per the professor, I'm going to jump straight in here. We implemented the time range. I'm going to demonstrate this one in parallel in here as well. So the time range, so if we are pulling the time range, for instance, this is February 14 to February 16, it's only for 2 days. I have a lot of crime. I can zoom in, it's a lot, and I can zoom out, and I can change the date range right here. It works with all the menus. It works on Android or it works on the iPhone. I can clear it, I can say done, and it changes. And the more I pull in, the more data I get. So I'm going to get out of here because this is a lot of data, and I'm kind of afraid that my phone is going to crash. So I'm going to clear the layers that I currently have. I'm going to clear the layers on my other computer as well. And I'm going to look at the heat map. In the heat map, it's actually my favorite. Um, um, so the heat map will support. This one has has historical data, and it's depending on the zoom that you get. You can see that the data is similar, and the more we zoom out, the more it tells us there are a lot of crimes. The more we zoom in the crimes are going to be spread out. Therefore, the concern for a certain particular area is going to lower. On top of the crime data, we can put the cluster, which will give us another layer of the of how many crimes are happening in a certain area. So, for instance, we can look at I don't know. For instance, let's look at. I was looking before. I don't know. Let's take. I don't know. Capitol Hill. It has 19. Let's zoom it in. I'm zooming down to 4, and then I'm going 3, and this one is going to give me. I can further add data as we had right in here. We remove some of the options. We are going back and forth between what's the best view. So I'm going to clear everything that I have in here, and I'm going to clear everything that I have on this map as well. And let me show you something else. So the way we were connecting the heat map and the cluster with the time range, we were able. Right now, I have 2 base maps. I can have the street view. Let me show you here. I can have the streets or just the grayscale. This would be giving me fewer details because I don't have the greens and the streets and everything else. Anyways, so I'm going to leave it on the streets because we don't have. I'm going to have just a zoom in for this this app, and I'm going to choose the nightclubs. I'm going to choose the schools in the same time. I'm going to do the same thing in here. As you can see, we can tell the difference between the schools and the nightclubs because the pop-ups have been created differently. When I go on a certain particular one of them, you will see that I can actually know what this is. It's telling me that this is William E. Dorr, JC, whatever, Performing Arts. For this particular one, I will be getting the nearby crime and the social media, and that's going to happen for both, for schools and for the nightclubs. Let me clear it up because it's too much info. I'm going to start with schools. I'm going to choose something in schools. Let me clear it up in here too. This is easier, faster. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to display only the schools. See, it's only a tab. So I'm going in here. I'm going to look at the one school, nearby crime. It's showing me the proximity. As you can see, no other crimes are shown, and then I'm going to get more details about that particular crime when the data showed up. And again, I'm not pulling all the attributes on this particular data just because it was too much, so we are trying to spread it out. We can do the same thing as we've done in the previous app, where we can get absolutely every single information, everything about a particular crime, and we can spread it out. Looking at the bottom right menu, I'm going to leave it on the base map of the streets, and I'm going to choose the nightclubs. The nightclubs are going to show. With just a tap, I'm going to make it go back in that menu. And I'm going to choose one of the locations, I don't know, let's say Capitol Hill. Yeah, everybody knows that. So let's choose Capitol Hill, and let's look at the crime around Capitol Hill. I'm going to do the same thing for the map in here. I'm going to go reset it back to its own size after the schools, and then I'm going to just choose the base map streets, and then the nightclubs. In the nightclubs, I'm going to choose, once they are there, I click twice. I can zoom it out and I can see the nearby crime. Then see, it shows me the proximity, and each one of these will have the tweet data. As I said, I can have all those details. We can have all those details, all the details as we did have them before. We just chose not to display them in this pool. And then afterwards, let me show the nightclub again. You've seen that this one pretty much cleared up itself. And then I'm going to pull up this menu, and I'm going to show the social media. The social media, let me see how much social media do we have. It looks like I have one tweet in here. So for instance, then Dimika, it's telling me that the NBA playoffs, this is what's happening, who won. And we were thinking, what is the connection between people watching a game in a bar, and then the tweets, and then a crime around that bar? So that's another story, that's another link. So I have more tweets in here as I zoom out. Thank you.